Everyone thinks an inverter like the Growatt SPF 3000TL LVM is a slap-on-the-wall, instant off-grid miracle. But here's the thing, it's only a beast if you feed it right, because the biggest performance gains come from setup, not just specs. That surprised me. I went in skeptical, tested it over 2 weeks in real-world conditions, and found that most frustrations people have are avoidable. The internet says 3 kW is 3 kW, not exactly. At 24 volts, 3 kW means big DC currents, precise wiring, and smart settings. Do that and it punches above its weight. Ignore that and you'll call it underpowered. With an Amazon rating around 4.1, I needed to see which side was true. Before we dive into what I discovered, if you're already leaning toward the SPF 3000TL LVM and want the best current price, I've dropped a link below. But stick around, because a couple of my findings could save you hours of troubleshooting and a few $100 in mistakes. Setup: why I even bought this. I needed a reliable, budget-friendly off-grid inverter charger for a cabin that runs lights, a high-efficiency fridge, a small microwave, and the occasional power tool. My last inverter chirped, sagged voltage on motor starts, and made my generator do this awkward on-off dance. I was done with that. I wanted cleaner sine wave output, smarter solar charging, and the ability to prioritize solar over grid or generator. The Growatt promised all of that with a built-in MPPT parallel capability for future expansion and app monitoring if I added a Wi-Fi dongle. But I'd been burned before by overhyped spec sheets. So I set it up with a 24V 200-300Ah Li-Fi PO4 bank, fused and wired with 2.0 cable and a 200 breaker, plus a modest array configured to keep cold weather Vox safely under the LVM's lower PV voltage limit. Emotionally, I was hopeful but bracing for fan noise, confusing menus, and surprise shutdowns. Let's be real, mid-priced inverters live or die by the details. Testing round 1, installation and wiring. The cabinet is compact for a 3 kW unit, and the terminals are decent but tight for 2.0 lugs, so plan your cable angles. The LCD is old school but readable. Expect a menu learning curve. I set battery type to lithium, tweaked absorb around 28.4 V and float near 27.2 V per my battery spec, and set source priority to favor solar and battery before AC input. But then the first friction point hit. Fans, undercharge or sustained loads over ~800W, the fans ramp up. Not jet engine loud, but you'll hear them, mounted outside living spaces. Testing round 2. Solar harvest and MPPT behavior. With clear skies and a mid-sized array, the built-in MPPT locked quickly and tracked consistently through passing clouds. Peak harvest landed where I expected for my array size, and daily totals were solid for shoulder season sun. But then cold mornings reminded me why the LVM's lower PV voltage window matters. Keep your strings conservative on icy dawns, open circuit voltage climbs. I kept mine under the spec max with headroom and it was flawless. Push that limit and you'll have a bad day. Testing round 3, load handling. I cycled a high-efficiency fridge, ran a 700-900W microwave, fired a 1200W kettle, and started a small pump. Voltage stayed stable and the unit didn't flinch on typical motor starts. It's not a 5 HP compressor inverter, but within its 3 kW rating, it felt confident. But then I stacked loads. Microwave plus kettle plus fridge startup. The unit held, fans spun up, and DC current surged hard, as expected at 24V. This is the core truth. 3000W at 24V is roughly 125A on the DC side. If your battery is small or your cables are skinny, low voltage cutouts will haunt you. Build the DC side correctly and it's a non-issue. Testing round 4, AC input and charging. I tested transfer to AC input with a brief interruption that felt around the typical fast transfer mark for this class. Sensitive electronics stayed happy. The AC charger did its job. I limited charge current to match my battery spec and generator comfort. One nice touch, you can prioritize PV and keep grid or generator as a backup, which makes fuel use drop fast on sunny days. But then the hidden cost emerged. Idle draw. Expect a couple dozen watts on standby. It's normal for a 3 kW inverter charger, but budget it into your overnight consumption math. Here's where it gets interesting. The most surprising discovery was how sensitive the overall experience was to 3 setup choices. PV stringing within the LVM's lower voltage window, correct battery charge limits, and output source priorities. I spent hours dialing in the menu, logging behavior over 2 weeks. Once tuned, it felt like a different machine, more responsive, calmer fan behavior, and smarter energy flow. Compared to cheaper off-brand AIOs I've used, the Growatt delivered cleaner output and better MPPT stability. Compared to premium blue box units, the UI is clunkier and the fans are louder, but the price-to-performance ratio is very hard to beat. If you need UL certifications or split-phase 12240V native output in North America, this specific model isn't the right fit. It's designed for 230V single-phase systems. That's the too good to be true filter. Don't expect grid export, don't expect silence, and don't expect it to fix bad wiring or an undersized battery. Expect a solid off-grid workhorse with honest 3 kW capability, simple hybrid behavior with AC input, and room to parallel later if you outgrow it. And that 4.1 rating on Amazon makes sense. Owners who install it correctly love it. Those who shortcut DC or PV design knock it. Now that you know setup is the make or break factor, grab it before prices swing or stock dries up in peak solar season. Links in the description for the best current deal, and I'll pin my recommended wiring, fuse sizes, and PV stringing combos so you can copy the exact settings I used. Bottom line. The Growatt SPF 3000TL LVM inverter is a budget-friendly off-grid backbone when you build the system around it. Buy it if you run a 230V cabin, shop, or backup essentials, want integrated MPPT and AC charging, and you're comfortable configuring menus. Skip it if you need UL-listed gear, native split-phase, ultra-quiet operation next to a bedroom, or true grid export. For the right user, this thing is a value monster. Set it up right and it stops being just another 3 kW box and starts running your day like a pro.